What it do, y'all? It's your girl Makeup and Travel, and for today's video, your girl wanted to bring you a video. I've been thinking about this topic for a while now, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about how many palettes I have in my collection that can create one eye look. And for today, I wanted to talk about this eye look. I recreated it, and the first time I created it using the Kaleidos Club Nebula palette, and of course I recreated it using this palette as well. But in the instance that you aren't able to pick this up on relaunch again, or in case you don't want to spend more money, I figured it'd be really cool to kind of do a different type of way of shopping your stash and looking at your palettes and just seeing if you can curate the certain collection or the certain eyeshadows that you need to create one look that you want to recreate inspired by something that a YouTuber did. So I hope you guys like this idea. If you do, I'll do it more often. But yeah, let's just get into it. Alrighty, so the shades that I used in this palette, I'm just gonna point it out for you all. I used Red Giant in my transition area. I used Void in my crease. I used Gravity on my lid and in my inner corner, and then I topped Gravity off slightly with Firefly. I'm not gonna hold you up because you pretty much can't see the Firefly. I'm really not going to be checking for finding a shadow that recreates that in any of these, because like in my collection, I know I have that 10 times over probably in my singles. So I'm just gonna look for the matte shades. And yeah, so the first palette I wanna talk about is actually a really old palette for me. And this is the LA Splash Classic Horrors palette. And for me, if I wanted to recreate this particular look with this palette, I have a lime green in Madness, I have a red in the 13th, and what I would do is mix this 13th, Voodoo, and Blue Moon with probably a little bit of Lights Out to create the dark blurple that I have in my crease. So it would definitely create some mixing situations, but I definitely think that I could recreate this particular look with this palette. Next, I have my Colored Rain Vivid Pigments palette. And this one, it's a little bit easier to see how you could do it. So of course we have a really nice vibrant red. We have a really nice Yacht Life and Purple Smurf. I'd probably mix those together to get a nice deep vampy blurple for my crease. And then for my inner corner, the lime green, I would mix Lemon Drop and Level Up to create a lighter green shade to go on my lid. Once again, a little bit of mixing, but I love my Vivid Pigments. I've gone in on this palette. I've used it as blush, as pigment. I've used it as anything, okay? And I really do enjoy it. Next, I have the Dragon Child palette from Menagerie Cosmetics, and they no longer have this in their collection, but in case you have it, I would recommend using Mother Dragon for your crease color. I would use a combination. I'd actually probably just mainly use Cave Dweller for my crease shade, and then for my lid shade, I'd probably mix a little bit of Dragon Child and Sleeping Dragon to make like a lighter green. And then I actually would probably top all of this off with Lucky, because Lucky does have a flip that would be very reminiscent to the shimmer shade from the Kaleidos palette. Moving on, again, we have the Lick and Lash Flamingo palette, and for this palette, what I would do is actually do some slightly different colors. So for my lid shade, I would use Sun Ray, which is slightly more yellowy than green, but I think it would still work out. For my crease, I would use Aruba, which is actually more of a strawberry shade, but I still think overall the end final results will still look the same. And then for my crease, I would use Cruise, which is a navy blue. Then I have my Playful palette, and this is from Lick and Lash as well, and this is one of my favorite palettes of all time. Almost dropped it, that would have been atrocious. what I would do is I would use Mystic for my crease, I would use Life of Lime for my lid shade, and for my transition area, I would actually use Flamingo, which once again is a bright red, more of a bright strawberry shade, but I think once everything blends together it would look nice, because if you can see my crease color today, even though I use that red, blending it with that Void shade, it really is coming out more of a strawberry pink, and Void is coming out more of a blurple. So that's kind of why I've chosen some of these palettes that you may not otherwise have thought would create this look. Keeping it going, we have the Blush Tribe Paulina Beauty palette, and this one, right, it probably, you wouldn't think it would work, but I think it'll work. Clearly we have our lime green, right? Then for the crease shade, I would actually just use this aubergine shade, because it, once again, it would give me a purple or a blurple. And then for my transition shade, I would actually use Paulina, which is another kind of very strong strawberry shade. Last Blush Tribe palette, which they're no longer available, and neither is Malina Beauty, whatever their rebrand was. So I would also try and use my Hazina 2 palette. And this one's a little bit trickier, I'm not going to hold you up, but what I would do is I would use a combination of Jade and this Aran, and use very little of the Aran to kind of sheer it out a little bit and maybe make it look a little bit lighter. Then for my crease, I would use Moran, which is a deep purple. And then for my transition, honestly, I really probably would just use Iris. This is the one palette that you probably wouldn't be able to do the full look with that strawberry, but I still thought it would be something that you may want to look into in case you have this and you have like a strawberry bright pink single. So that's why I wanted to talk about that one. Then we have Revolution Pro's Trends Mischief Matte palette. I really actually do enjoy this palette. For this one, what I would do is combine Believer, New Day, and Saint to create kind of my perfect lime green to put on the lid. Then in my crease, I would probably go ahead and go into Indication and Shrine, and that would be my crease shade. And then for my transition shade, I'd probably go into Underdog. So that would be that, and this is super cheap and super old actually. For my ABH Norvina palette, this is a palette I've wanted to love, and I just honestly, I haven't, but I still have it in my collection because I love the shades. So what I would do is take A4, that would be of course my lid shade. For my crease, I would probably go in with C4. It looks a lot mauvey, but combining it with that transition shade, it would turn it enough blurple in my opinion. And then for the transition shade, I would go in with B3. So that is that. Almost attacked my fingers. Then the last palette I want to talk about is from Playing in Makeup by Yolando. This is their Gem Rack Colored Washina palette, and this you would have to give up some liberties as well. For your lid shade, I would go in with the combination of Aaliyah and Deja, and I think that'll work really nice as like a lime green shade. For my transition or my crease shade, I would go in with Jasmine and Catherine to make more of a blurple shade. And then for my, that's my crease shade. And then for my transition shade, I would go in with Asia, which is this really nice poppy pink. So those are the palettes that I would use in my collection if I were you and you were trying to recreate this particular look, but did not want to pick up the palette that I used. I am doing this to kind of just promote shopping your stash, using what you have. I know I do tend to like buy quite a bit, but I've actually been very good, I would say, this year. And just especially when it comes to eyeshadow palettes, I really haven't bought that many because I've really just been enjoying going back to some favorites. I really want to give this palette some more shots. I think this is going to kind of be my last shot that I give this palette, because every time I reach for it, I just have difficulty, but I do want to give that palette more of a little bit of a chance. But anyways, that was a tangent. I just think that doing this will help you to save money, but also you to get the look that you desire. Whether you didn't necessarily desire a certain shade that I use, but you have a shade that you would rather use, do it. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, y'all, people of color do matter. They all matter. Check out down below. I have some information on that. I would love to see you like and subscribe after watching this video, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.